Hey guys, Jennifer here with the Family Fudge, and welcome to Bunches of Lunches Subscriber Edition. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite super colorful rainbow lunches. And you guys, these lunch ideas were sent in by some of my awesome subscribers. Now, after watching this video, if you have a unique rainbow lunch idea that you think I should make, first make sure you're subscribed, then you can send me your idea using the link in the description box below. I am planning on making lots more rainbow themed lunches throughout the month, so if you have an awesome idea, send it in. Now, before we get started, give this video a big thumbs up and hit that red subscribe button if you're new, because on this channel I share fun lunch ideas every single week. And now with all that being said, let's get on to the lunches. This lunch idea was sent in by Chloe. Chloe is from North Carolina, and for her lunch today I'm going to need a thermos because she requested one of my kids' favorite hot lunches. Mac and cheese is just one of those things that even my pickiest eater will eat every time. And you guys, mac and cheese is probably the #1 most requested lunch. Now I would love to know in the comments down below if you have a favorite brand of mac and cheese, which one is it? Back to Chloe's lunch. Today she requested some homemade mac and cheese. And when it comes to homemade mac and cheese, I have 2 recipes that I use most often. One is for the Instant Pot, so it's super quick and easy, but the one that is currently my favorite is actually a recipe for crock pot mac and cheese, or slow cooker if you call it a slow cooker. So now that the mac and cheese is done, I went ahead and filled up this thermos, and I want to get the lid on there tight so it can stay nice and hot. And you guys, anytime you use a thermos for a school lunch or a work lunch, I always recommend prepping your thermos first. And what that means is while your food is cooking or heating up, you actually take your thermos and fill it full of boiling hot water. You're gonna add your lid on there and you just let that water hang out for about 10 to 15 minutes, or as long as you have. That way when your food is ready, you can just dump out the hot water, and the thermos is pretty much preheated when you do it this way. So when you add in your food, you add your lid on, it can stay hotter for longer. And I'm going to move on to Chloe's fruit. And for her lunch today, she requested a combination of strawberries and grapes. And I thought it would be really fun to create some fruit skewers. So I'm actually just going to take strawberries, some green grapes, and some red grapes, and I'm going to alternate them on my skewers. My skewers aren't super long, but they do fit inside the lunchbox, which is important. And if you're looking for some good inexpensive skewers, I can usually find some at the Dollar Tree. Now I think these look beautiful. There's just something about fresh fruit on a stick that just makes it more fun. For my next step, I'm going to add in some broccoli. That's what Chloe requested for her veggie. These are just broccoli florets, fit nicely in the lunchbox. And of course, I'm adding a small container of ranch on the side to dip the broccoli in. Now in this back section of the lunchbox, I have just enough space for Chloe's snack. She requested pretzels, so today I'm going with some circle shapes. I think these look super cool. Of course, they just taste like regular pretzels. And then you guys, for Chloe's sweet treat, she requested homemade Rice Krispies. Now you guys, I love making Rice Krispie treats. They are so quick and easy, and there's so many different ways that you can fancy them up. One of my favorite ways to make Rice Krispie treats is actually to brown the butter first and add a pinch of sea salt. That way the Rice Krispie treats taste kind of like a salted caramel. They are really good. Now I actually have a separate video on how I make those, and I'll link that down below if you're curious. But for today's lunch, I'm actually going to be attempting some rainbow pinwheel Rice Krispie treats. So to make these, I'm going to be using 10 ounces of mini marshmallows. I got these at the Dollar Tree, so they were a super good deal. Next, I'm using 3 tablespoons of butter. You can use regular or unsalted. That's totally up to you. And then of course, I'm also using some Rice Krispie cereal. Oh yes, and to make these rainbow Rice Krispie treats, I'm also using some food coloring. I'm going to be using 6 different colors, including red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. So the first thing I want to do is prepare my pan. I'm just going to take a big 12 by 18 inch baking pan and I'm going to spray this generously with some non-stick spray. Now if we don't have this, you could also just rub some butter on here. That works well too. So now that that's done, I can go ahead and set it to the side. And next I need to prepare the marshmallows. So in my microwave safe bowl, I'm going to add a heaping cup of the mini marshmallows and about half a tablespoon of butter. Now I'm just going to pop this in the microwave for about 45 to 60 seconds or until the marshmallows are melted. Then I'm going to very carefully take them out of the microwave, add my food coloring, and mix it up. So now at this point, I'm just going to add 1 cup of the Rice Krispie cereal and then mix the two together. So now I'm going to go ahead and pour this onto my pan. Now I'm going to spread this out as evenly as I can into about a 2-inch wide strip. Now this does look a little bit more pink and that is totally fine. Now that I have this color done, I'm going to do the same process with the other colors. So next come the orange, followed by the yellow, the green, the blue, and finally the purple. And as you can see, I'm just spreading the colors out so they form one big sheet of Rice Krispie treats. Now at this point, the Rice Krispies are not hardened yet. So I'm going to go ahead and flip my pan over. I'll go ahead and remove that parchment paper and then I'm going to very carefully roll up the Rice Krispies and I'm kind of mushing this together to fill in any gaps as I go. Now so far this looks and smells so good. Now let me know in the comments down below if you've ever made Rice Krispies using either Fruity Pebbles or Cocoa Pebbles because I have and it is really good. So now I'm just going to slice up the Rice Krispie treats and it's almost like a big colorful cookie. And then lastly, for Chloe's drink, she requested water, so I'm just going to add a little bottle on the side. My first step for this lunch is to create a delicious sandwich. So now I have 2 pieces of this really soft white bread, and 2 of these I'm going to add a medium layer of butter. This is a really good Irish style butter. And just to make cleanup a little bit easier, I did go ahead and add a little sheet of parchment paper underneath. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of slices of deli ham right on top, followed by not 1, but 2 different kinds of cheese. I think this is going to be a delicious and extra cheesy combination. Now this set here doesn't come with the entire rainbow of colors, so I'm just going to do my best to draw a little rainbow on the outside of the bread, just on the top piece, not the bottom. Now I've actually made this shortcut rainbow bread quite a lot. I'm just going to take the sandwich and pop it into my oven for about 10 minutes, and I'm really going to keep my eye on it because I just want it to be lightly toasted. Okay guys, so now that the main course is done, I'm going to move on to fruit and veggie. But make sure to stay tuned, you guys, because you're not going to want to miss the special treat that's going into this lunch. And since I was unable to find any ripe peaches right now, I'm going to go ahead and use the canned stuff, which is still really tasty. So I'm just starting with some whole carrots here. I'm going to go ahead and wash them and peel them. Then I'm going to use my crinkle cutter to make them into these really fun shapes. And you guys, right now in my pantry, I kind of have a large collection of pretzels. I have some mini pretzels, which are always cute. I have some really fun square shapes. I have some traditional pretzel sticks. I recently saw these at my local Publix grocery store, and I decided to give them a try. These are actually pretzel shells, and they're hollow in the center. I know a lot of times when you see pretzels like this, they're usually filled with peanut butter. These ones are actually hollow, so they're extra crispy and crunchy. So since I'm out of space in the lunchbox itself, I'm just gonna go ahead and add these pretzels to this cute separate container. And then, you guys, the time has come for the special treat, a rainbow cupcake. Now I know these might look complicated, but they're actually really easy. Let me show you how I made them. So to make these cupcakes, I used 1 white cake mix, 2 eggs, 1 cup of sour cream. Now I know that sounds weird, but trust me, these cupcakes are awesome. I'm also using half a cup of milk, 1/3 of a cup of oil, and then I'm also gonna throw in a splash of vanilla. So to make these cupcakes, you just have to add all of your ingredients into a bowl and then mix them all together. After that, I divided the batter into 6 different bowls, and I tried to divide it as evenly as I could. Then I just used some food color gel to color the batter itself. Next, I added my batter to my muffin pan lined with silicone liners. That way the cupcakes would pop out easily and not stick. And basically I just added about 1 teaspoon of each color in reverse rainbow order. And here's a tip, you guys. This batter is a little bit on the thick side, so after I would scoop each color into the muffin liner, I just dipped my finger in a little bit of water and then I very gently spread each layer out. I continued this until I used all of my colors. And then I pop them into the oven at 350 for about 15 to 18 minutes. And check it out, you guys. Once these had cooled down enough to handle, I was able to pop them out very easily, no sticking at all. And would you check out all those layers? Nope, they're not perfectly straight, but I think they still look really cool. And just for fun, I'm gonna go ahead and cut into this one so you can see exactly how it looks inside. Now you could leave these just as is, but once they're cooled down, you could actually take them to the next level. You can add a little bit of blue frosting to the top, kind of like the sky. Then you can take some white icing and add a little cloud on this side and a little cloud on that side. Then if you can find some of this rainbow striped candy, you can add one right across the top like this to look like a rainbow. This is definitely a very special and colorful treat. You guys will have to let me know in the comments down below if you've ever made rainbow cupcakes before. Okay guys, so today's lunch idea was actually sent in by Annabelle. Annabelle is from New York, and she actually asked for a rainbow theme, which you guys know I love. And you guys, for her main dish, she requested something that I get asked to make all the time. That's right, so many of you have asked me to make a rainbow grilled cheese, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do today. And surprisingly, they're really not that hard to make. Just a few simple ingredients and some food coloring. So I'm going to start with 4 different bowls, and to each of these bowls I'm going to add about a cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. Now I've been told that it's important to use mozzarella because it melts really well and gets nice and stringy. Next I'm going to go ahead and add the food coloring. So for my 4 colors I used red, yellow, in this bowl I'm using a combination of blue and green, and in my last bowl I'm going to try my best to make purple, which is of course red and blue together. Now I'm going to go ahead and mix this all up until all the cheese is coated in the food coloring. Now I have to say that this purple is not really looking purple, and I'm not quite sure if it's going to turn out. We'll just have to wait and see. Next to my skillet, I'm going to add a little pat of butter, and as you can see I'm also wearing some protective gloves because I definitely don't want to dye my hands with all this food color. So now I'm going to go ahead and place 1 piece of bread directly onto the butter, and then I'm going to start lining up my cheeses, and I'm going to put as much cheese as I can fit. I really want this to be extra cheesy. Next I'm going to top it with the other piece of bread. And when the bottom is nice and toasty, I'll go ahead and flip it to the other side. Now my goal with this grilled cheese is to have that rainbow cheese pull. You know, when you pull the sandwich apart and you can see the cheese in the middle, that's what I really am hoping for. I think it looks so cool. But to do this, as you can see, I'm just lightly sawing each side of the bread. I'm not cutting all the way through the sandwich. That part's important. I'm just cutting the bread, I'm not cutting the cheese. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see how it is. Yes, would you look at that cheese pull? This turned out better than I thought it would. And as you can tell, some of the colors did mix together to make that secondary color. And the purple really does look purple. I know all the kids are going to be super excited to see these grilled cheese sandwiches. So these grilled cheese sandwiches are definitely best served hot, but honestly, my kids eat cold grilled cheese sandwiches all the time and they are totally fine with it. Now you guys will have to let me know in the comments down below how you feel about grilled cheese sandwiches. Do you only eat them when they're hot? Or maybe you like them better when they're room temperature? Let me know. So now that our colorful main course is done, I'm going to move on to Annabelle's fruit. And for this lunch, she requested berries. So I'm going to add a combination of both strawberries and raspberries, lots of red in here. And of course, to go along with the rainbow theme, I'm going to add a little rainbow accessory in with the berries. Now, I get asked about these accessories all the time. Sometimes they're actually food picks, ones you could actually use to pick up your food, like a fork. And other times, I'll actually add in some of these cupcake toppers. They don't really serve a purpose other than to just be cute. Next up, I'm going to be adding in Annabelle's vegetable, and she actually requested carrots and cucumbers. So I thought for this rainbow themed lunch, I would go ahead and add in some rainbow carrots. Now these aren't really every color of the rainbow, but they are very colorful. To me, the different colored carrots do have a slightly different flavor. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut these in half with my crinkle cutter, and I'm also going to cut up the cucumber with this crinkle cutter as well, and I think these are going to look super colorful and fun in Annabelle's lunchbox. Now on the side, I will add a little rainbow container full of ranch, perfect for dipping these veggies in. And then over here in the back section of the lunchbox, I'm going to go ahead and divide the space so I can put the snack and the treat in here. For Annabelle's snack, she requested some rainbow goldfish crackers, so I'm just going to add in some of these whole wheat ones. And then on this side, for Annabelle's treat, she requested Rice Krispie treats. So for today's, I'm going to make them a little bit different. I'm just going to start with 1 cup of marshmallows. These cute little mini marshmallows are so good. To this, I'm just adding about half a tablespoon of butter. And at this point, I'm going to add the entire thing into the microwave for about 50 seconds or until the marshmallows are melted. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add in 1 cup of Rice Krispie cereal. And at this point, I'm just going to mix this all together. Next, I'm going to spray my hands with a little bit of non-stick spray. Now I know that sounds weird, but I actually want to create some Rice Krispie balls, and having the non-stick spray on my hands really makes it so that the Rice Krispies don't stick. Of course, this mixture has cooled down enough so it's not too hot to handle. Now you guys, before these Rice Krispie balls set up completely, I am going to go ahead and roll them in some rainbow sprinkles. And just like that, they kind of look like donut holes. These are actually really easy to make, and this would be a good project for your kids. You could totally make a big batch of these together. And then finally, the last thing I'm going to be adding into Annabelle's lunch is just some strawberry flavored water. Today's lunch idea was sent in by Elisabeth. She is from Estonia, and you guys leave me a comment with the hashtag Estonia if you are also watching from there. So I'm going to kick off this lunch by making Elisabeth's main course first, and she requested some sweet and sour chicken over rice. Now you guys, I know this recipe might look complicated, but it's actually really easy, and I know a lot of you will probably have many of these ingredients in your pantry already. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the full recipe in the description box below if you want to make this yourself. So for this sweet and sour chicken, I'm actually going to start by making the sweet and sour sauce first. So to my saucepan, I'm going to add some granulated sugar, some apple cider vinegar, a good amount of ketchup, and soy sauce. Next, I'm going to add in some brown sugar and some garlic. And you guys, if you don't have fresh garlic, you can definitely just use a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then finally, I'm just going to add in a little bit of water and some cornstarch. So now that I have all of my ingredients in my pan, I'm going to go ahead and whisk this all together. And once that's done, I can go ahead and turn the heat on to medium. Now I'm going to cook this on medium for about 4 to 5 minutes. I'm going to whisk this frequently because I don't want it to stick. And really, I'm just looking for it to become thickened. Now, if you wanted to, you could definitely add fresh onion in here. You could also add fresh pineapple chunks or some chopped up bell pepper. But I'm trying to keep this sauce on the more simple side this time, since I know some of these ingredients might be hard to find right now. So now that this sauce is nice and thickened, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat and set this pan to the side while I prepare the chicken. So today I'm using about 1¼ pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breasts. I actually just diced this into bite-sized pieces. I'm going to go ahead and add these chicken pieces to a Ziploc bag. And in here, I'm also going to be adding in some cornstarch and some salt and pepper. Now, all I have to do is close up my bag, and I need to do a little shake and bake action. Well, technically this isn't going to be baked, but I suppose you could. Really, I'm just trying to shake this up until all the chicken pieces are coated. Next, I'm going to take a large skillet, and in here I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of oil. Then I'm adding in the chicken, and I'm going to cook this for about 5 to 7 minutes, or until it's cooked all the way through. Now, if your skillet seems a little bit dry, you could definitely add in more oil if you need it. So now that the chicken is cooked through, I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat down to low. Then I'm going to pour the sweet and sour sauce directly on top and then stir it all together. Now at this point, you could also add in some steamed veggies. I like to sprinkle a little bit of green onion on top. Now you guys, this is smelling so good. And before I add this into my thermos, I'm also going to add some white rice to the bottom. And there you have it, guys. Just like that, easy sweet and sour chicken. So now that that's done, I'm going to move on to the fruit. And for Elizabeth's lunch, she requested a combination of kiwi and watermelon. So for the watermelon, I'm just going to cut this into chunks using my crinkle cutter. And for the kiwi, I'm going to go ahead and just cube that up. So I'm going to add the fruit to this front section of the lunchbox and then move on to some veggies. Over in this corner, I'm going to be adding in some cucumber, and instead of ranch, for this lunch, I'm actually going to be adding in a little bit of honey mustard to dip the cucumber in. Next, over in this back corner, I have some beautiful cherry tomatoes. I'm going to go ahead and slice those each in half. And then for Elizabeth's lunch, she requested something a little bit different. She asked if I could sprinkle a little bit of sugar on top of the tomatoes. Now you guys will have to let me know in the comments down below if you like to eat your tomatoes like this. Elizabeth said she knows it sounds different, but it's also very tasty. Okay guys, so now that brings us to our treat. For this lunch, I'm going to be adding in some delicious rainbow M&M cookies. Now I just love all the colorful M&Ms on the outside of these cookies, but really all you have to do is make a basic chocolate chip cookie recipe, but then instead of adding chocolate chips, you just add these mini M&Ms. And you guys, I always like to place some extra M&Ms on the top of the cookie before they bake. That way they're really pretty when they're done. And then finally, to complete this lunch, I'm also going to be throwing in some apple juice, and I decided to go with this My Little Pony topper because of course this pony's name is Rainbow Dash. And there you have it, guys. That is everything in today's lunch. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.